Hi, Warren. So just think, 20 years ago, it's a long time.
Yeah, we were both young men then. I mean, to me, remarkable from the point of view that it's 20 years in anyone's lifespan. It's a healthy chunk of time. But when we talk to people about it now, I mean, I remember when we were discussing with our wives and they ask us how it feels. And in some ways it feels like yesterday. And in other ways it feels like 200 years, depending on the day. But yeah, 20 years in, it's been a heck of a ride.
Yeah, I think there's a few things that for me almost top of mind. And the first one is I think it's been a great ride. Yeah. If you look back at it, markets, politics have changed. Remember 20 years ago, the whole term state capture wasn't even invented. It was before the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. The whole state capture Zondo Commission wasn't there. One evening, one night, Judge Mogoeng had to explain to us what a constitutional democracy is. We had COVID in the meantime, which changed a whole lot of things.
We had the weekend special.
So it's been a volatile time for financial markets, and therefore it's been challenging, but it's also been a great ride given the fact that one based it on principles. Yeah. And what for me was interesting that from day one, we never had targets in terms of client numbers or targets in terms of profitability. We always stick to principles in terms of what is the right thing to do. Yeah. What should you do?
Yeah.
What do you believe will create value for everybody? And that kind of a way of thinking was the core principle for me that stands out. For you?
Yeah, I think we never really shared it with our clients in the early days, but I mean now, 20 years later, we can. That what we were doing at the time, you and I both, I mean, we'd come from big machines, and we'd looked at the world of financial services, especially financial planning, and said, it's not right. What's going on in these big machines is just wrong. It's wrong for the client. It's very rewarding for the people that are selling the products, and we didn't like that. And so, you know, if you jump back, we made a clear decision on day one. It sounds such an easy thing. Do the right thing. We use those words all the time, endlessly, and it was incredibly difficult and incredibly painful, actually, a lot of the time, to say, you know, don't charge upfront fees on investments. Don't charge clients to go into products where they're locked in, which would have been rewarding for you and me in our personal capacities and really bad for our clients. And equally that we focused on a very particular segment of the wealth management space in South Africa. And there were a whole lot of things we didn't do, didn't sell, didn't believe in. And I mean, it was, you know, I mean, we laugh about it now, but those first 3 years were tough. They were very hard. And I always think, you know, with enormous gratitude now to that group of clients right in the beginning, because we didn't have a media profile. People didn't know who we were as much as they might today. And so for those original clients to have the trust and faith in us, to see through that we were doing the right thing. We did want to have a good outcome for them. And I don't think we'll ever forget that. I don't think we'll ever forget them. And from then to now, it's been amazing that doing the right thing, it might have started slow. You know, we didn't have a big bang, and we didn't land, you know, millions of clients and all of those things. But continuously saying, if there is a decision that's good for our clients and not profitable for us, that's fine. We'll do what's good for our clients. And I think to this day, I mean, even the way we talk about our 20 years, even the way we celebrate, if you want, is you know, enormous gratitude to the people that had faith and trust in us, and then adding our staff, you know, our team that have come along with us. You know, that we have the right people for that approach. You know, we didn't get dynamic personalities that wanted to just sell, and you know, the eye specialists who felt that with respect to the medical people, we're talking about the other eye specialists now. You know, we focused on team, and to this day, I think that's come through. So yeah, long answer, but I feel when we look back, I do feel a little bit nostalgic in a way that it was incredibly hard. I think we hid it well from our wives and our clients how tough it was, but they had the faith.
It's tough in those original 3 to 5 years if you committed to doing the right thing. And I remember once or twice where we actually walked away from what could have been lucrative clients, but simply what they wanted to do, we believe, was not in their best interest. And it was for us, it was logic to try to recommend them to go somewhere else, because this is not what we believe is in your best interest. And that's difficult in the beginning. It's now a lot easier, but in the beginning that's difficult because you're walking away from lucrative business that might be profitable, that might assist you in those early days. But the test wasn't that. The test was, what is the right thing for the client? And that means your focus is completely different. And then later on, one can build that out to what is how do you believe things are going to change? Because the world will change. The principles will not change. And the cornerstones of the methodology will not change, but the style will change. And the American President Thomas Jefferson always said that in things of style, you can go with the tide. But in things of principle, you need to stand like a rock. And I think we know things will change. But just coming back all the way to when we started, remember index funds, passive investments? It wasn't there. And those that were there were charging as if they were active fund managers. And it took quite a bit to form part of pressuring the markets to reduce those costs. Why? Because if you reduce the cost, it's not to the benefit of the product provider, it's to the benefit of the client. Yeah. And that needed to be, one needed to put pressure to achieve that. And today we have that. And there's other elements like that will change in the next 5 or 10 years. And the key is to make sure that you think forward, but always stick to the core principle. And that is a challenge. The world will change. The world will change. I mean, 20, 25 years ago, if you wanted to go overseas, you had to take traveler's checks. Yeah. You could only draw money on a Saturday or on a weekday, not on a Saturday. There was no ATMs. That's the way the world's changed, and it will change in the next 5 or 10 or 20 years. The key is, how do you adapt to that changes without sacrificing the core long-term principles? And those principles are the cornerstones of sound investment decisions, but also the cornerstones of sound financial planning, and be part of the journey of your client.
Yeah. And I think, if you just talk about those passive investments, what was interesting was, I think we had, that was, for me, one of our great successes as a business, was doing something that was incredibly good for our clients in terms of lowering their fees. It was a heck of a journey to try and convince the market, someone to come along with us and embrace that. And I think we did that well. We've also made some mistakes. What's nice about our mistakes, if you can say that, is we always made a mistake for the right reasons. And I think back to our robo-advisor. We launched the first robo-advisor in South Africa, despite a few product providers claiming credit for doing it years after us. And again, it was about saying, what can we do for our clients that's good for them? And we thought we're going to build this fantastic robo-advisor. And it was a fantastic robo-advisor, but no one came. Build it and they'll come. Well, they didn't come. And again, it was something where we thought, we're looking at where the world is going, and from a principle point of view, it aligned with our principles. We just we obviously missed a few things along the way. And what's good about that as an illustration is we didn't have to explain an ethical mishap to somebody. We had to convince a few people that they could stay invested, but they didn't have a robo-advisor anymore, and so they went on. And what's interesting about that is we weren't the only people to make that mistake. Worldwide, it didn't work out as people thought.
But Warren, the key is the only people that paid a price for that was us.
You and me.
And me.
Yeah.
We paid the price for a mistake.
Yeah.
You got to own the mistake. So any journey, if you look back over 20 years, yes, it's easy to look at the success stories, but there is a few mistakes in there. And the key is to make sure that mistake, where does the cost lie for that mistake? And as long as it's with you and me, that's cool. Yeah. That's why we're there. That's what we do. The mistake should never be either staff or clients. And that's why we have a a principle that luckily, and I think we could manage it through the process, is that we have a key principle when we appoint people, that we will not retrench people. If pay needs to be taken, we'll take it. Simply because we believe that is the right thing to do. And that is as much applicable to our staff. And I think it was for me interesting the last few years, the number of staff that has been with us for 5, 10, 15, and almost 20 years. And there's something in that.
I mean, I think it's two things. One, that commitment is not just a lot of businesses will say our people are our most important asset. And they usually say that 3 months before or after they go on a retrenchment process. And morally, I mean, we obviously feel differently to that. So I think that showing that commitment to them to say, when no director in the company is earning a salary anymore, we might ask you to reduce your salary, but we're not going to just make you lose your job so that we retain our bonuses. That's never going to happen.
And skipping salaries for the first few years, that was par for the course.
That was tough explaining that to our wives.
But we made every single payment to staff and every single payment to suppliers, rent, all of those were always done in those first. Luckily, we're now in a complete different situation, which is you can't believe where you were if you look at it now. And that's the joy of building a business based on the right principles. In the end, the finances, the balance sheet, the income statement will come. If you continue doing the right thing and you focus on the right areas, that'll come.
Yeah. And I think we've done well helping to educate both our clients and also our staff to talk about fees all the time, so that everybody keeps us honest all the time. There's no way we would ever be able to overcharge, because both our staff and our clients would be saying to us what's going on. And so I think...
And with that, the transparency of fees. Yeah. That's as important as talking about fees, is how transparent are you actually about your fees.
Yeah, which has also cost us in the past when we compared to product providers that aren't. I think also just to say though that, I mean, it's 20 years. It's not an achievement as if we've reached the end of the comrades. It's just another day for us because there's a lot that we want to do, and there's a lot that we want to innovate and grow and develop tied into our principles. What gives me a lot of confidence nowadays is we've built a mighty team around us, much brighter people than we are, and think wider and deeper, and that's very nice. So I mean, just, if our clients are watching, they're looking at us going, 20 years, that's almost a career. Don't worry. The people around us are both younger, better, bigger, better, faster, whatever you want to say. And so we're here, and we've got a lot to do, but a mighty team to drive it forward now.
Yeah, and I think that the nice thing about having built a team and having a team that's been us for so long is that the culture is intact, the way of thinking is intact, and looking forward, the way of implementing and adapting to changes, keeping the core principles, I think that is ingrained in the business. And I think what we also need to appreciate is the business was always built to last over generations. Doesn't mean me and your generation, but generations in terms of clients and in terms of staff coming through the process. So it was always set up to be sustainable over long periods of time, because simply that's the promise to clients. We will look at you and we will assist you over your lifespan, and that includes your children and your the grandchildren. So the whole business's focus is around that principle, and I think that's something that really that leaves one proud.
Yeah. I think it's a great place to wrap up. Congratulations, Theo.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody for your support over the years. We really appreciate you.